and welcome to a special new scenario beer addict education video. I'm back at my old place in NDG, and it was a really sunny day today, so I decided to film outside. Unfortunately, I forgot the piece on the camera that attaches to my tripod, and therefore have had to wait until the sun's gone, and it's actually a lot colder than when I wanted to originally do this video. I wasn't sure at the beginning of the day exactly what I was going to film today, but I went to the Atwater market somewhere in Montreal that basically is a market for fresh produce, meats, fruit, vegetables, any kind of thing like that. Really, people come in from out of the town, from the country, and sell their products, and from all over. Really fresh, great stuff. They also have a really nice specialty beer shop in there, in the Fromagerie Atwater. And I picked up a beer there that is a pear beer, and just because I've had so much chances to brew with fruit, I brew all kinds of fruit: raspberries, blueberries, pomegranates, bananas, blackberries, oranges, grapefruit, cherries, pineapple. I mean, the list goes on, pear itself, but I've never actually seen another commercial pear beer before. So I decided to do a little beer review and talk about how I think maybe this was made compared with my experiments that I've done, my tricks when it comes to fruit beers. And it's completely dependent on the fruit, if you ask me my personal opinion. One of the most important things that I haven't actually gotten the chance to experiment with is actually how you add the fruit to the beer. So do you add it frozen? Have you let it steep in hot water to the point where, you know, it doesn't do any harm to the actual beer? We'll talk about that. It has to do with pectin release within the fruit. Or do you just put it in fresh? Do you add the chance that your fruit beer will have some wild bacteria and some wild yeast? You know, give it a little change, a little different. So we're gonna open this, and we're gonna taste this together. Interesting smell. Get a little first-hand camera action over here. Very nice golden color. I got a tall Pilsner glass because I thought it might help with this one. Oh yeah, look at that. Nice. Perfect pour, if I do say so myself. Don't get much in the head of pear. I get a little pear sweetness, more like pear juice than the actual fruit. It's very subtle. Again, it's cold out, which could have a chance to affect that. The color though is just gorgeous. It's really dark yellow, golden. Honestly, this is a perfect golden color. Nice white head. From the side, the head is, I don't know, it appears commercial. I call it like the nice big bubbles. Well, nice big bubbles. Not necessarily nice. I like the smaller ones, but very apparent. I would probably say there's not much lacing, if anything, in this beer. Again, I don't know. This glass is not good for seeing that. I'll know in a few minutes as we drink it. And from the top, the head actually looks creamy rather than the side of the glass. It's a nice, not dense head, but it's got a good thickness. It's not bad. And again, the smell. Getting more pears as now I can get my nose a little bit deeper into the glass. But really just like pear juice. Yeah, so let's go in for a taste. All right, I'm not getting that much pear in the actual taste, but one thing I can say for sure is that there is a wheat base in this beer, which, for two reasons, I'm not surprised at all. One, in Quebec, we love using wheat in our fruit beers, in much more than just our fruit beers, but especially in our fruit beers. Second, it has that wheaty sourness, that not a big sourness, but just enough to know that there must have been some kind of wheat or wheat-like product in the beer. I don't know if it was wheat malt. I don't know if it was barley. I don't know if it was flaked wheat, white wheat, oats. Who knows? but it's very, very, there's a really nice kind of bready, almost oatmeal-like taste in the aftertaste, and the fruit is so subtle. I really only get pear in the aroma. I don't get it much in the taste, but there is a sweetness in the taste that is very pleasant, and I'm actually very surprised at my first taste of this. Usually, when I've had fruit beers as such, they tend to be quite artificial flavored and tasting, and in the aroma I really get like what I imagine is fake fruit character. One of the other reasons that I specifically took this beer is because on the bottle itself it said no artificial flavoring at all, and I thought that might be interesting if they can actually get pear into the beer without using anything but the natural actual fruit or an extract from the fruit itself, whatever. The smell's great. Smells definitely, you get pear. Don't know if I would have said pear if I hadn't known that's what I was drinking. I'm looking for that taste, I'm looking for that smell, so I can definitely identify it now, but I actually doubt that I would have smelled it otherwise. I actually get kind of an apricot smell, which is probably what I would have said if anything, and the color would have definitely thrown me off as well. I would have expected something lighter. This dark kind of dark yellow golden color would have actually backed up my apricot feeling in my head. I expect it to be a little bit darker, but very nice, very nice. Yeah, I'm actually extremely impressed. It's so subtle. The aftertaste is just a little bit of that kind of biscuity, bready character, but very smooth. There's a sweetness at the beginning of the tongue. As you go around the mouthfeel, it feels a little thick, not like syrupy, but then it goes down, and it's actually not too sweet at all. And it perfectly balances out with that wheat, which I guess would cut anything that you would have remotely said being too sweet. And I think the biggest shocker for me in this beer is the fact that it's 8% alcohol. Now, for a fruit beer, for a commercial fruit beer at least, I find that quite high. 8% is a little more than I would expect. I would say 6.5, maybe 7. Even that's rare, but 8 took it to a whole new scale. This is a beer that is brewed in Quebec, multi-brass. I'm not familiar with this. I don't know, by the look of the label, I think that this is kind of a conglomerate, not a conglomerate, sorry. This is maybe a group of individuals that have created a series of beers, because the label's quite homemade, we'll call it. I can actually see where it's been cut. It's not even straight lines. So that's it. There's not really any other information. It's called Belle Hélène, bière au poire, pear beer in French. And yeah, there's not much else. I don't got any other information. I'm gonna go look up, and I'll put the link to on Rate Beer at the bottom of this video. But yeah, so I'm really surprised at that beer. When I generally use fruits in my brewing, I am a complete and 100% supporter of secondarying fruits. I've done post-boil. I've done mash. I've done post-boil. I've done primary. I've done secondary, and I've done extract after secondary right into the keg and to the bottles. So I've really experimented with fruit all the way. One thing that like I said, I haven't had the chance to experiment with is how I add the fruit, whether it's frozen, fresh, steeped, or boiled. I prefer to steep the fruit in 150 Fahrenheit water. I find that at that temperature, it's just below the temperature that you would release pectins and maybe give some kind of bad effect or negative cloudiness to the beer. So from what I understand, pectin enzyme in the fruit is something that is released into the liquid that it's submerged in if the liquid is too hot, and this pectin creates a clouding haze in the final product, the finished beer. Now, like for most homebrewers, we don't give a shit about a clouding haze, but I'm trying to move away from any what I call imperfections in my brewing. And you know what? I like to have a clear beer. It's a nice thing to have. It's a little bit more gratifying, unless of course you're going for an unfiltered look or something like that. So I can appreciate choosing techniques, or at least trying techniques that can avoid a clouding haze when I do. So that's why I do that the way I do. I use frozen, I freeze the fruit, and then I'll add it to the water at about 150 degrees. I feel like that's been a good combination. It's worked out for me. Sometimes, unfortunately, I would leave it on the stovetop and the liquid would boil, creating probably definitely much too hot of an environment for the fruit. Pectin enzyme's been released, and there you go. Of course, when I make my wheat fruit beers, which honestly all my fruit beers do have kind of a wheat base, I find that it meshes very well together, kind of like with this one, that breadiness, that biscuit, that just wheat oatmeal type character is great for cutting the sweetness, the level of high sugars that I find can sometimes result in the taste and even the aroma of fruit beers. Especially when I've done my my banana fruit beers, which I got to make that again. That was just fantastic. That results in I find a lot of residual sweetness, as opposed to maybe raspberries, which are much drier, which result in a tartness, and you don't actually get sweetness at all. But that tartness again works with the tart finish you get from using certain types of wheat in the mash. Again, never would have guessed that was pear. I do get it, but I never would have said that just offhand. So yeah, I generally use minimum, and this is a very small amount, but minimum a kilo of fruit, 1 kilo, 2 kilos of fruit in all my 5-gallon batches. If I can, I use a lot more. The most I used was with my banana beer. I added 20 pounds, 10 in the mash and 10 in the secondary. That was probably the messiest secondary I've ever had. I woke up one morning and all the walls and the entire ceiling of my room was covered in banana. So those are my little tips and techniques for making fruit beers. I don't have anything else to say regarding that. It's a very nice beer. For anyone that's living in Quebec and Montreal, I suggest going to try it. Great, especially for an 8% beer. I think I picked that up for about $4.59 at the Fromagerie Atwater. Decent price, 500 milliliters. Not too bad. Again, beer in Quebec's a little more expensive for anyone who's shrugging their shoulders right now. So thanks for joining Mike. It's Beer Addict Education. Shoot your comments below or on the video when I release it on Facebook, Twitter, and let me know what you think. Do not forget to subscribe. Tell your friends. The more videos I make, the more people can comment, the more ideas I can get, and the more you guys can hear my lovely voice doing different subjects, doing whatever. See you next week, guys.
Felt like the weight of the world was on my shoulders. Pressure to break or retreat at every turn.